everyone. Thank you for tuning in with Dr. Lisa, the Preacher. Okay. I'm getting some coconut oil. I just used coconut oil from the Dollar Tree. It's $1.25 for a little jar of coconut oil. But I have really dry, crackly hands, cuticles and stuff. So I keep my hands well oiled and stuff and then I'm a cuticle picker. I pick my cuticles, probably because I'm such a overthinker, an overthinker. But yeah, the more black people that have children, have babies with white people, it allows black people access to white wealth. That's one way. Legal marriage is another way for black people to legally tap into white people's wealth. Um, having babies with white people, marrying white people, and then of course, having employment. When you work for white people, you earn money to pay your bills. So, and then if you're blessed, you could save a little something. And then if you're abundant, you know, you're able to leave an inheritance to your offspring. So, interracial relationships through legal marriage, through, hi, click like, click like on your way in, hit the subscribe button, become a subscriber, and hit that notification bell too. So, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so guys, chime in. This isn't about me just talking. My comment section is open. Feel free to talk about this. Hi. Please click the like button on your way in. Thank you. So, but yeah, so in the 1960s, when the law was changed to allow um, the different races to marry among themselves, to, each other, um, it started with a white man and a black woman. I think she was more considered an Indian woman of some type. I don't know if she was an immigrant Indian woman or a native woman. I'm not sure. But regardless, it was a white man and a black woman that the law loving was about. But it went from the white man changing the law to fit his situation. It went from that to mostly black men and white women taking that law and running with it. You know what I'm saying? So more black men and white women have benefit from that law changing to the point where there's almost a whole new nation among us of mixed children, mostly from black fathers. There's a whole new nation among us. I mean, like, that's a wonderful thing, you know. That was their accomplishment. But for some reason, the white man and the black woman did not rush off and contribute at the same rate as the black man and the white woman. But for some reason, over, let's say, the past 10, 15 years, there has been a constant visual between movies and TV shows and stuff showing white men marrying black women. It's just everywhere now. You know, it wasn't like that. Maybe in Hollywood. And then, there's always, a few people in our communities, of course, but not at the rate. But for some reason, now white men want to cash in on black women through marriage. Now, I just find it suspicious that the black man and the white woman became so romanticized and sensationalized and so, while the other card was being held and now it's being played and played and played and played. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just interesting. Just think about it though. I mean, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. I'm not saying that. You know, I mean, it couldn't be. I don't, I'm not, that's not the point right now. But why? Why was it strategically played out that way? Or is playing out that way? Now, of course, we all know that the more black people interact with white people, have children with them, marry them, have jobs among them and all that, you know, we experience a quote unquote better life. We get to live in better neighborhoods, we get to, our kids get to they get to attend better schools and, drive better cars. And, I get that. I get that part of it. That's like the marketing, the sales, the rewards, if you will. I get that part. But the part that we don't focus in enough is the strategy. From the moment they changed the law to the trends of the law. From the moment it changed, who's been keeping up with the trends of it, the results of it, and why all of a sudden now there's this change in white men. There's a change in white men now when it comes to black women. Now, of course, real quick, I'll just run through. I don't see any fresh comments, but I'll just run through the game in my mind, the game that's being played in my mind. Again, this is not about emotions, about, the black and white thing. This is about the game being played. Okay. So white men changed the law. Okay. And then, okay, cool. Okay. So white men changed the law. He's not going to do it unless it benefit him some kind of way. It has to benefit him. Otherwise, what's the point? So if Black people are using relationships with white people to gain a better life, having access to better jobs, better education, just, what we consider a better life. Well, then what would white people need Black people for? If they already got it good and rich and all of that, then what would why would they benefit? How could they benefit from having anything to do with us? What's the benefit for white people to deal with poor Black people that have a lot less? What is the benefit? We are natives. We are a natural resource of the land. No matter how much we are mixed with, breeded with, interacted with, manipulated, we're still native. We're still natural resources of the land, like trees and oil and water, animals, fish. It says, nah, stole is bad. So the point I'm trying to make is, regardless to how poor and bad Black people may appear, look in America, we're still natural. We're still native, just like any other part of the natural habitat, natural existence, the natural creation here. Yes, we've been mixed with African, we've been mixed with white, and whatever else was allowed to have access to us along the way. And then the law changed. The law changed. And there's a trend. Just notice, do your research. It's not about feelings of hate or love or none of that has anything to do with it. I mean, it can, but just take all that away and look at the original law, when the law changed, and just the trends. Why? Okay, so let's just get back to my thoughts. How does it benefit white people to legally marry Black people? Okay. I'm older, and so my thoughts go fast. So I'm going to try and get back into that energy. Okay. Recent events, political events with our new president and all these federal changes and, just the whole shakedown. It's causing a lot of white people. Now, white people today are not the same white people that originally started all this. We, along the way, have included a lot of white immigrants. Trump is an example of a white immigrant to me. He is not a part of the foundational American white people. There's a difference. Immigrant white people and the foundational American type white people. Just like black people talk about, the immigrant black people and the foundational black people, it's the same thing with white people. So there are a lot of white immigrants that are trying to gain the same rights as foundational white people. Foundational white people have allowed themselves to be immigrant out. you know, White people, there's a larger list of white people today than it was when it first started. To be white in America like 100 years ago or more, the list was short to be considered white. The list grew this big because other white people from around the world, they're not called white people outside of America. They're called wherever they're from. They're called Italian. They're called whatever. You know what I'm saying? And and so they apply for white citizenship here. Now Trump is opening it up to be greater. All you need is $5 million to sit at this poker table to be white now. You know what I'm saying? $5 million, you can be white in America. That's just me being a little, silly with it. But seriously though, that's what's happening. Foundational white Americans really have sold themselves out. They sold themselves out. They're allowing immigrant white people to come in and take over. So so there's this what's really going on from what I can see. There's this war between immigrant like Musk. He's South African. He's South African. He's not even really like, I mean, yes, he may have quote unquote American citizenship, but they're trying to make that easy to get. American citizenship is like up for debate. How easy is it to get it? The Democrats want people to just come over here for free and we pay them. The Republicans are like, no, you got to pay $5 million to come over here. So, it's a war as to how immigrants come in. So, when white men decided that they wanted to be able to marry any woman they want, any woman that they want, at that time, black people were not a threat to anybody. We were just not a real threat. Financially, we would, get upset sometimes and, protest and march and stuff. But other than that, I mean, like, we were not a real threat. We're very tamed. well trained here, or we know we're going to get killed or locked up or something. Okay. So once white men opened up the laws where they could marry any type of woman they want, especially women from overseas, women from other countries. With white men doing that, opening up themselves to marrying women from other countries, and bring them here, you know, it empowered white women to do something similar. So it's almost as if bringing in all these foreign women, so to speak. I might be speaking more biblically now. It says war African in use. And so I'm just talking off the top of my head. And so with the threat of all these strange foreign women being able to marry white American men, who does that leave white women to marry here in America? In America, who does that leave white women to marry? We're talking like the 1960s. Now that white men can marry whoever they want, who are white women to marry? See, back then, women were mostly still in the home. They were not in the workplace, not like that. Even though a war had taken place and a lot of women were working because their husbands were in the military, but it still was not the norm. It wasn't popular for women to be independent and working yet when the law changed. So the law changed in the 60s, allowing white men to marry whoever they want. They don't have to marry the white woman anymore if they don't want to. But white women still needed husbands, someone that's going to provide and work and, allow her to have kids and stuff. So where could she go? All her money was coming from white men, whether it's her family of white men or her husband. So what's left for her to do? Marry black men. And once white women begin to marry black men, then what does that leave black women with? Where does that leave black women? When all the white women rushed out to get the black men because white men were marrying everybody and their mama from overseas and bringing them here. And literally to this day, everybody, their mama, brother, sister, cousin is over here from all over the world because of our marriage laws. Our marriage laws. Yeah. All it took was one white man to want to marry someone that was not white. And then the floodgates was just like, whoo, just like that. So now it's to the point where black men are on the scene. They ran through, black women, they've ran through the white women, and now black men are complaining that there are no good women in America. Anytime we get to the point where the black man can say something like that, and he's looking to be a passport bro and marry every foreign woman, then we're saturated here. We're saturated, so social media is all over the world. Women all over the world know how to mimic America. Everyone know how to copy the American style. Social media is everywhere. Some countries regulate social media, you know, they regulate it, you know, but for the most part, it's everywhere. you know, and that, I mean, that's just the way it is. So, with so many quote unquote, white immigrants on the scene and in our government holding offices, and less foundational, traditional white people, less and less, to the point where there are just as many poor white people, if not more, than there are poor black people. And since the more quote unquote educated black men have already been absorbed into the white world through, you know, corporate jobs, the NFL, the NBA, sports, between corporate America, sports, things like that. Um, the higher paid black men um, are not available in the poor community. They're not available there. They're absorbed into the white world, either, through pay, through marriage, children, some kind of way tied to white America. In the meantime, while all these white men were marrying women all over the world, and black men were trying to catch up, marrying and having babies with as many white women as possible, because white women needed husbands. And if the white man wasn't going to be there, then the black man was the next best convenient thing. White women had not had access here in America to the whole world of men just yet. Only their husbands that had money and their, fathers and brothers and, the men in their family had the money to do all that traveling. So, so white women and black men needed to marry each other or do whatever they had to do just to catch up, you know. And so what foundational black men are doing, foundational, no, white men, foundational white men are doing, it's almost like they held the big joker card, the foundational big joker card, while black men and white women have been laying a certain foundation for about 50, 60 years. They've been marrying and mixing and to a point where they almost have a whole nation. But the white man is reaching back and cashing in on these black women that have been going to school, working, you know, they're reaching back because the government paid for a lot of this stuff, right? They're just reaching back and collecting. And so a lot of these rich black women get with these rich white men. And that's one way to keep some wealth here in America. I mean, like foundational wealth, you know. It's almost like the black man and the white woman set the foundation, but it's almost like they're exhausted. They're starting to take each other to court. They're not even married 10 years and taking each other to court. You know what I mean? And now, they're just killing each other. Black men and white women. It's like it's run its course. I mean, of course it'll always still happen, but the greatest impact of it has already ran its course. But the white man and black woman phenomenon, that really has been kind of tabled. It's kind of been in the background. You know what I mean? Like brewing or simmering or something. And now white men can come out and collect a lot of books. There's a lot of, black women that are at all ages. I mean, I know a lot of black men are on the internet putting black women down, left and right. I get that, but these white men ain't caring about all that. They're looking at survival of the fittest right now. Foundational white men are going out of their way to recover. And marriage is one way to recover. Um, of course, business deals, the right business deals, marriage. Um, there's, a few traditional ways that will never change. No matter how modern things get, some things are just basic. Who you have kids with, who you marry, those are the things that affect generational wealth. No matter how modern things get, that is basic, basic. But when it comes to protecting the Constitution and when it comes to foundational Americans, whether you're foundational white or foundational black, generationally, you know, um, we have to protect ourselves from all this immigration. We can't lose the foundation of America because we're generous, because we allow immigration. That's why it's important for immigration to be legalized and monitored properly so that foundational Americans can't be infiltrated and just tossed to and fro, whether you're black or white. Sometimes black and white business in America just don't have nothing to do with immigrants. You know, I'm just saying, business is business, you know. But yeah, I think it's smart for white men to, tighten up their belts for a little while and focus on the white women and the black women that are foundational here in America. I think it starts with the white man. He needs to focus on white women. And if that's just too difficult, well, then there are black women. There are generational, foundational Americans, constitutional types, Mayflower people. You know what I'm saying? And all those ships, slave ships and stuff that came after, those are the people that need to make sure that this country stands. There are a lot of immigrants that are in positions that I just don't see how we can allow it. We can, even if we have allowed it and it was legal for us to allow it, it's something for us to rethink. We need to rethink it. It's just how I feel about it. So yeah, I think it's smart for especially the wealthiest of white men, the wealthiest of white men need to stick with, I'm talking like foundational ones, okay? Stick with white women or black women that are generationally here because the way the laws of the land are set up now, anything that impact the white man automatically impact the black man. Automatically. So it starts with the white man. You gotta get your house in order. You gotta gird up your loins, and everyone else will follow suit in this country. It's all about keeping the dollars. I mean, like when it's a war, when it's war time, you have to look out for your own during wartime. You gotta look out for your own. And the thing about white people in America, a part of keeping your own includes black people. It just includes us automatically because of how things started. And we're still playing it out, and it has never ended. And as long as it's going, we need to protect it because it is under attack. Whatever it is that we have, it's under attack. And there's not much that black people can do. What can we do? What can we do other than keep working, paying our bills, and when you all decide to marry us, we say, okay. There's not much else for black people to do here in this country. Just be good citizens, and every once in a while, one of us get to marry one of y'all and experience something different. When you just get down to the law of the matter, the nitty gritty of it, I'm not talking about being in love and, compatible and preference. I'm not talking about all that stuff. I'm talking about keeping generational wealth, black and white America alive, unless we just don't want it no more. If we don't want it no more, hey, it's just going to burn then. Okay, then. Oh, I didn't realize he it went. You feel up to it? Okay. So, yeah, only thing Black America can do is wait and see how white America deal with all this, all these changes, and let all this play out. Yeah, we can keep attending, political meetings. We can keep getting on the internet and talking our stuff. But at the end of the day, there's not enough of us in high enough places to make any real decisions. So click like, click subscribe, share my videos. Either I make sense or I'm just some, crazy lady from the hood, you know. And, you know, it's just my viewpoint. It took a minute for me to pull it out, you know, but I get around to it eventually. But thank you all for your support. I appreciate it. You can share my videos. I'm up to 5,800. My subscribers, it's growing. I have one of those slow growing, moving like a turtle type channel. But, you know, I'm sticking with it anyway. Thank you for your support. Bye.